really what it gets down to is there's a way to work through this that lends itself to lasting change.
Hello, and welcome to the Connect podcast. This show is all about helping you connect to your soul's calling so you can take action on it. Because the sweetest success is a blend of discovering your purpose with the inner drive to bring it to life. I'm Sheila Botello, health coach, lifestyle entrepreneur, and mom of two, best known for my online wellness programs, mentoring, and self-love passion. Listen in for inspiring interviews, solo chats, and Q&A sessions that will move you past overwhelm towards what lights you up. Stop accepting good enough and go for your version of great in your health, business, and relationships. Let's get started. Hi, welcome to this live today. I have a special guest with me who is a specialist in helping you organize your life for success. Jessica Tudos is from Toronto, and her whole focus is to help multi-passionate people create portfolio lives. We're going to talk about what that means, that they love by organizing, decluttering, and prioritizing their life mindfully. I'm a big believer that when we have our lives organized and our space around us organized, everything improves. Hi, Jessica. So good to see you. So welcome from an hour away.
Yes, no kidding. Very close by. It's so cool.
Yeah. And so we had the pleasure of meeting back in the fall. We are a part of an online business women's connection group. And so that's international. And here we are just so close. And that was a thrill to be able to meet in person with a few of the other women in that group. And I was just sharing what your background is or what you currently do. But what we would love to hear also is, what is your background? Because you have a very diverse background. You use the word multi-passionate.
Yeah,
because it means you're passionate about a lot of things. I would consider myself a multi-passionate creative person too. So tell us about all the kind of channels that you've been involved in your work.
Sure. And it's funny because when I think about that, I think, often we get the question like, oh, so what do you do? And for so long, I was like, on Monday I do this, and Tuesday I teach, and Wednesday I coach. So for years, that was, the way I did it. And it was kind of panic. It brought up this stress in me. And then maybe about 10 years ago, I finally realized, oh my God, that will never change. I have too many things, too many passions, projects, jobs. And so, finding the multi-passionates out there, also called portfolioists. So I will say, if you think about a portfolio full of different projects, creative projects, I love that way of thinking about it. So I've often said, I have a portfolio career and also a portfolio life, which many of us do, right? We've got lots of interests. But in my case, in terms of having a career of multiple income streams and multiple jobs, and that's changed a lot over the years. I counted them up. Over 65 jobs and going.
Amazing.
So that's how that's how I've chosen to live my life. And there's others like us. I know there are.
There's so much beauty in that because it's so easy for society to get in our head and think, okay, you have to pick one path and go, and it's the only way to be successful. And for some people that may be true. Some people need to have 100% focus in one area.
Yeah.
But for those multi-passionate portfolioists, as you say, it's actually about gaining energy from all the different streams of things they're involved in. And as long as you're clear and concise about what you're doing in each, they can all feed off of each other. And let's face it, let's look at big business owners who have multiple businesses, very successful. They get the support they need. And you can have your hands in multiple things. There's just a smart way of going about it. And obviously your work is what helps people get more clear about this. So what brought you into this type of work, the organizing, decluttering, prioritizing?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because when you think about a life that's full of many different, projects, passions, jobs, you got to manage it. Like there's definitely in order to keep that going and in order to stay sane, there's systems you have to put in place. And I guess from a very young age, I was an elite athlete at a very young age. And so I learned how to take care of myself and how to balance school and sport and social and all of those things. So it came really naturally to me. And I did that for many, many years, not realizing it was a thing that I could do for a career or, as a job. And then it was probably, I started helping friends and some family, and they're like, you're really good at this. Maybe, other people could benefit. And I just somewhat fell into it. Like many of my jobs, like they've come as a result of connecting and putting it out there. And, it's not like some planned, like this is what's next. No, some of it is, it's intuitive. It comes about from being in the, what is it? The opportunity meets, oh my gosh, what is it? Opportunity meets setting it up for success. I think that's it's not quite the right saying. So I had those skills, and I think realizing that for some that was a real struggle and that I could help was so eye-opening. And so I began that journey, and I learned about what really holds people back and what gets in the way and what those obstacles are, whether it's physical clutter, mental clutter, I mean they go hand in hand, or digital clutter. More and more we have digital clutter. So, finding the root cause and sort of getting deep into why, that sets people up for success to do the work. Without the foundational big why, it's really hard to stay clutter-free, organized, have your systems in place.
It's so true in everything, isn't it? There's a root cause to why we do the things we do, why we respond the way we do, why maybe our health is the way it is, why our relationships are the way they are. There's always a reason behind what we actually end up doing. And I am a big believer that self-care involves caring for not just ourselves, but our personal space, because it impacts our mind, it impacts our clarity. And I always love to say, like when you walk into a beautiful curated boutique hotel or something, if you're fortunate to be able to do that, it's just everything's spaced out beautifully. There is some white space. There is some chic decor.
Yeah.
Things are clean and neat. It's not cluttered. And you just feel a release. And some people will walk into their homes and not feel that way. There's just stuff everywhere, a lot of things crammed into a space, because very often we're very sentimental with our things. And some people may have, let's say, grown up not having a whole lot. And so for them, wealth and prosperity is to have a lot of things and to show them, to have them on display, not realizing it may be taking them out mentally and exhausting them. And also just the practical, like, where did I put my keys, or where did I put this or that? Where is it hiding? So talk to me about some of those things and what your process is in helping people go to that root cause to help them start the decluttering process.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you're right on. There's that sense, everyone's different. So I think I always, when I start working with people, I say, okay, like, please close your eyes and just imagine walking into your space. How do you want to feel when you open your front door and you walk in? Like, what is that feeling? For some, it's calm. For some, it's welcoming. For some, it's, I want to know where everything is. For others, it's like, I want lots of color because that gives me energy. So not everybody, not everyone's a minimalist, and not everybody can do Marie Kondo. And, that is like, those are techniques and those are ways, strategies, great. But it is about who you are and also how your family functions. If you have children, you need to make this practical and easy, because I think so much of this is about how can we set things up to make our lives easier and to make it so there's less decisions, like that our brain doesn't have to work so hard. I mean, we work hard as it is, and these are tough times. These are uncertain times. There's so much going on. Like, how can we give ourselves a break in our space? Like, that's really, how can we set it up in a way that feeds us as individuals, as family members, function and form, right? Again, being artistic and enjoying nice aesthetics, like you described the hotel. I mean, that's important to me as well, but it also has to function. You want to be able to get things easily and know where they live. And so in working with people through this process, I've developed my own process, which is called the Tudos technique. So I never forget the name, my last name. And so each letter represents a step. And so we can talk about it if you want, but really what it gets down to is there's a way to work through this that lends itself to lasting change. Because we've all done it, right? We go through our pile of papers and mail and stuff, and then 3 days later, oh, there's another pile, and then there's another pile over there, and it keeps coming back. So
it's relentless. It can be so relentless. Right?
It doesn't go away. And digital did not solve our problems. Like now we have paper and digital.
And yes. Hello, emails, many emails.
Exactly. So we've just multiplied, actually, increased our volume of stuff. And so, finding a really easy process to go through it, especially when you get stuck and when you're like, I'd rather go watch Netflix. It helps. It really helps.
And if I was going to ask you actually where, if people could start with one thing to get them started on this journey, especially if they feel like it's just a mountain to conquer. Yeah. And how on earth are we going to climb this thing and deal with it? It's too much. We don't have time. Where would you suggest people start? And would it involve using the Tudos method?
Yeah, the Tudos technique is the first thing is to think about why you're doing it. So T for think is think through what's the point? Like, why would you give this energy and time? Because that's what it takes. But the best thing is to start small. Set aside 10 minutes to maybe do either the thing that is giving you the most stress. Like if it's every day you walk in and you don't have like a touchdown station where your mail, your keys, your sunglasses, things that go in and out. Like if that drives you nuts, that can be a 10-minute, pull it out, look at what you've got, decide what you need, get rid of the rest, and then organize it in a basket, in a bin, on a thing. Like those are other options, but we don't need to start there. We need to start with, why does that drive you crazy? Because when you come in the door, it's chaos right when you enter and it never goes away. So, it's the other suggestion is along these same lines is to start with an easier type of project, perhaps not the memorabilia of years and years that you've collected. That's hard because that's emotional. That usually brings up lots of stuff, right? So we want to start with things that will give you a quick win. The 10-minute, one drawer, your desk, like the area around your computer, something, simple. That really helps because then you realize, okay, I've got some momentum. I can do this. Set the timer. When the timer goes off, either be done or keep going. Often people keep going because you're starting to see, you feel a lightness coming, and it's a good thing.
That's a great start. It's like you say, it's simple, it's bite-sized, it's doable for anyone, and you can do anything for 10 minutes. I mean, I love to say that about getting on going for a walk or getting on fitness equipment for just 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes. And 10 minutes a day, even 3 or 5 days a week. Like imagine, right? So imagine with your tidying up your home, it can make a huge difference. And then you kind of feel the sense of accomplishment to keep going. And also a sense of accomplishment when you sit down and you rest for the evening or the day, whatever the case, you feel like you've actually tackled something. And I feel like part of caring for ourselves and improving our wellness and everything, we do want to feel like we're making progress.
Yes.
And even if we're making 10 minutes of progress, it changes the story in our mind about what is possible for us. Because we may have been thinking about this for months or years, thinking, I'm just not a tidy person. I could never do it. But if you put a little chink in there by taking 10 minutes worth of action, so helpful. I would love for you to share how people can work with you, where they can find you, and what you're excited about, any upcoming offerings that you're sharing right now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm glad you asked because I've got some new things. So best place to find me is my website, jessicatudos.com. So signing up for my emails. I send them out. I send some fun stuff, Thrive with 5. There's 5 items that are kind of eclectic, and the multi-passionate in me shares those kinds of, fun resources. I've also got a new thing in the works, which is going to come out. I haven't set the date quite yet, but coming later this month, so be on the email, is going to be decluttering in community, because that's one thing that I found, absolutely one-on-one work is really important. And especially when there's some deeper issues, it's really, really great to work, like that. But I think also sometimes the starting and the overwhelm and just like, I'm not an organized person. It's like, okay, let's just let that go and have a bit of fun with this. So let's do it together online. It's like an accountability, and it's co-working, but we're focused on decluttering a project. So every week we'll have 90 minutes to focus on your project, whatever makes sense to you. But doing with other people gives you energy. It gives access to me in terms of like, hey, what about this? Or what would you do? And that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be starting that. It's going to be an 8-week program. And I haven't done that before. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we'll make sure that we send, obviously you'll be tagged in this video so people can go to your link in bio to get to your website, etc. Yeah. And that is so wonderful. I am so glad that you're doing the work that you're doing, because you're passionate about it and people need it. And that is often the key to help people really create change when they have some enthusiasm behind it. They may not be what they think of as an expert, but when they're with someone who is, everything feels possible. So thanks for joining us today. I'm so glad.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And so I'll put everything under the show notes in the podcast, because this will also be available on my podcast in a few weeks. So thank you everyone for being here and watching, and let's get tidy and make it a really easeful year with more clarity.
Absolutely. And let's put some fun into it. Put on some great music, get and make it, useful and fun. That's
absolutely got to make it fun. And music, I'm always about the music.
Yeah. Good playlist.
Yes. So thanks so much for being here, and we will be in touch soon. Take care, everybody.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much for being here with me on the Connect podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with someone you think would enjoy it. Also, if you head over to iTunes to leave a review, I'd be so grateful. Let us know what your favorite parts were and what you'd like to hear more of. It will help us have a greater impact, elevating many more people to grow and succeed together. See you next time.